The apex court pronouncements in faraway Abuja automatically created a tense atmosphere in the streets of Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. Before today, the premises of both the Port Harcourt City and Obiapo local government areas were a beehive of activities. But not today. Information also has it that many of the council premises outside Port Harcourt City have been deserted by both council chairmen and staff for fear of being attacked. Already, security personnel have been deployed to forestall vandalism. Many on the streets of Port Harcourt would rather not comment on the apex court's ruling for fear of being victimized by those belonging to different factions of the legal political crisis. But some braved the odds. This duo are sympathetic to the faction of the immediate past governor and minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike.
The Martins Amehule led House of Assembly has legislated for since 2023 till date, and they have never withered. They have been doing their legislative business. It's just that the governor do not want them to, do their work. But today, the Supreme Court has laid to rest those burning issues that the governor and his cohorts have raised just because they want to truncate democracy. But today, the Supreme Court of this country, the last hope of the common man, has restored parity.
The Supreme Court was emphatic today when they said there is no government in Rivers State, that the governor has been running the state solely without anybody. In the eyes of the law, there are no commissioners, there are no so-called local government chairmen. The government is empty. It is just the governor and himself, no other person. So what the court did today is just to restate the position of the law, the legal imbroglio in Rivers State. So this is the end of it. There will be no problem at all. It behoves on law enforcement agencies to execute these judgments. And the Supreme Court judgment is executory. Insofar as the Supreme Court has pronounced, the judgment becomes law.
But this public affairs analyst says it is not yet victory for the Martins Amehule faction.
There is no place in the Supreme Court now that they are deciding the fate of the 27 lawmakers. It's not before the court. So let us also look at it critically. Is there any case now that the Supreme Court have looked at it and said the issue of defection, have the issue of defection reached Supreme Court? I don't think that if you do research that is there. So if they make pronouncement, that will be different. They should wait, or Rivers people will wait until the case will reach Supreme Court. Then they can have valid information to give. So that is it. On the issue of seizing funds, I don't think that it's premeditated, even though the law has said that. You don't seize the money that belongs to the people.
Already, this security consultant is worried about the likely security implications of the judgment on the states.
My advice is for everybody in Rivers State to remain law-abiding. There is no point we are rising against ourselves now because of this. The 23 local government chairmen has lost their job and their councillors. That's not the end of their life.
Meanwhile, the Rivers State government has appealed to all residents to remain calm, law-abiding, and go about their legitimate businesses as it seeks clarity on the judgment. The State Commissioner for Information and Communication, Joe Johnson, in a media release says the determination of the main issue of the defection of the 27 lawmakers is a matter that was not before the Supreme Court, as it is pending at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. For now, there is uneasy calm, with residents of Rivers State waiting with bated breath in anticipation of what the days and weeks ahead would unfold politically. From Port Harcourt, it's Andy Omano, Arise News.
Meanwhile, coalition of opposition lawmakers said despite the Supreme Court's judgment, Governor Sim Fubara will continue to drive the wheel of governance in Rivers State until the case of the legality of the decampment of the 27 lawmakers at the appeal court is decided. The opposition lawmakers said the judgment ordering seizure of Rivers allocation is capable of inflicting injury on the people. They said, although nullification of the local council elections is strange, it will, however, not stop governance in the local government areas.
The wheel of governance will continue to run in Rivers State, and Governor Fubara, the executive governor of Rivers State, will continue to drive that wheel of governance in Rivers State. These cases originated even before these people cross-carpeted on where the budget should be presented, which led them to the issue of getting a judgment that said allocation of the state should be freezed in enforcement of that particular judgment. This issue and development today has not decided the ongoing and pending matter on the legitimacy or legality of that illegal decamment by those SAC, which is currently, as I speak now, ongoing at the Court of Appeal. Because there's one issue that have not been resolved. That these people left the People's Democratic Party to the Action All Progressive Congress APC with the belief that they will get support to illegally impeach the governor. But when that did not work, they kept on running from one court to another. So all they are trying to do is to find the legitimacy to claim that they are lawmakers. That's why they keep running from one place to another. So that is why that matter have not been decided. It was not even decided by the Supreme Court. That matter is the Court of Appeal. So, yes, Supreme Court has delivered a judgment today. We will study it and understand how they arrive at those conclusions and what were the declaration.
We have in the studio Ambassador God knows Igali, who is the chairman, Bandef. Glad to have you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
Okay, before I start breaking these things down, let me just ask you straight out. After the Supreme Court judgment, what next in Rivers State?
Well, first, I thank you for having me here, and I had to break my days of mourning. You know, we just lost our father, Chifike Clark, and we've been in mourning. I just had to come out because since after the judgment, we've had a tense atmosphere, not only in Rivers State, but all over the Niger Delta. We've been inundated by phone calls of all groups from the two sides threatening different forms of actions, and we thought that we should be able to make some statement on the way forward. And when you ask me what is the way forward, well, the judgment came as a surprise, particularly not the legal aspects of the judgment, but some of the orders that were given, and of particular concern was the aspect that pertained to withholding of federal allocations, because it is punitive to my mind. The Nigerian Constitution, Chapter 2, the fundamental objectives and derivable principles of state policy makes it clear that the duty of the state is to protect the welfare of its people, to protect the welfare of the people. So anything that would deny that welfare, if political gladiators have their issues, the people should not suffer unduly. So if there's an order that the funds of the state should be withheld, it means that we are suffering the newborn babies from having inoculation. Pregnant women cannot get proper treatment. Accident victims cannot be treated. Old people cannot be treated. Teachers will not be paid. And it can orchestrate all manner of social upheaval in Rivers State. And that's a lot of concern to us. And the other aspect is the fact that there are threats and counter threats, even from the two sides that showed in your clip. Some are for and others against. Yes, somebody said, don't worry, let security agencies go to the street and carry out their duties. That is rather a little bit harsh. It's not security agencies that to keep peace. Peace is kept by community leaders and people that are leaders of men and people. So a case where many people in that state feel aggrieved, it will orchestrate a situation of social upheaval in Rivers State. If you withhold the money and the government cannot run, even if local, for example, if local government elected officials have lost their positions, there are still governance going on. There are civil servants who work in those local governments. and the services, the sanitary services will be maintained, the streets will be swept, kept, the graveyards will be maintained, and so on. There is a lot of implication. And let me say this, Rivers State is so critical to this country. Rivers State, with its about 7.5 million people, it's at the heart of the South-South, and the South-South, by the grace of God, holds the ace to the country's revenue base. And anything that happens in Rivers State, let nobody mistaken it, will reverberate into Bayelsa State, into Delta State, into Akwa Ibom State, to affect the national economy. Let's not forget, there were days when the oil production got to 700,000 barrels a day, 800,000 barrels a day. And this country was bleeding, the economy, the governance itself was affected. And community leaders had to go and intervene to bring back peace. Today we are doing oil production of about 1.8 million barrels. We are trying to go higher, up to even 3 million barrels possible. So to disrupt the peace in Rivers State, the judgment that says stop money from going, starve those people. The children, the newborns should not have inoculation and vaccination.
Yeah, but Ambassador,
I find it quite difficult, to come to terms with. And what is it to create a scenario? So going forward, I think that we, at the level of the elders of the South-South, had constituted a committee headed by Obong Victor Atta, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, and he made up of 3 former governors and very senior citizens of this country. And they've been brokering peace. They've met the two sides. They've met 2 sides. They were in Port Harcourt all of about 2 weeks ago. And they are making substantial progress. And we're almost there. When there is a breakdown of this nature, you need to be able to calm down the nerves of all the sides. And substantial progress was being made. We will accelerate this effort, this process. We'll not give up.
All right. The Supreme Court judgment had a caveat. Even though the Rivers government, while urging the people to remain calm, says the determination of the main issue of defection of the 27 lawmakers was a matter not before the Supreme Court.
It's still at the Court of Appeal.
Yeah, it's still at the Court of Appeal. But then they had a caveat which says that if Simi, the governor, were to represent the appropriation bill or act before these 27 lawmakers, then the money could be released. I don't know what's your sense of all that.
Well, no, I don't want to get into the legal technicalities. For me, it is more of our worry over the state of peace and security in Rivers State. And we are talking to the 2 sides for them to exercise restraint.
And like you said, they were almost
we're almost there.
Side.
We're almost there. We're almost there. We deliberately did not want to come too forward to start talking about these efforts that are going on. And but since we have got to this point, one should say that those efforts were being made. And before, at the beginning, there was a resistance to dialogue. And we've crossed the Rubicon, and much progress has been achieved. We will not give up. We'll continue.
Okay, so then what do you make of...
Because we did not want a situation a winner takes it all. We want a situation where we can have an amicable resolution, amicable settlement.
Disagreeing to agree.
Well, they're bringing the 2 sides to the table. And we're looking at just crossing the T's and dotting the I's of getting the 2 sides together.
What do you, based on what you said, what do you make of this statement from Wike? He praises the judiciary for standing firm against what he calls impunity in the state.
Well, we saw what happened between Trump and Zelensky yesterday. When these kinds of conflicts happen, people take positions.
Yeah.
And sometimes there could be tendency to make expressions. And so I don't think that because we have been talking, I'm not a member of the committee, but because we constituted the committee and they talked to me. So we are aware that the people that are close to Wike and Wike's side are quite open to dialogue, and much progress has been made in the dialogue process. So even if litigations are going on, we know that we're making progress. It is only when there are punitive actions that can inflame, that become worrisome to some of us, because if those things continue that way, it will affect the whole erode the process. And number two, we've been talking to the two sides to also, as we say, bridle their tongues and not be able, not season their words during this process of dialogue that is going on, so that we don't add more salt to the injury that is already there. So
we can confidently say that an amicable resolution diplomatically will soon be reached.
It's in sight.
That will all go well for the entire River State.
It's in sight, but if we have situations where there are judgments, and you see, I want to say this, we have one of the best judiciary in the world. We respect our judiciary very much in this country. I have been somebody in the public space myself, and I know that we are very competent and judges, but at the same time, it's important to know that we have a nation to build.
All right,
and
we'll leave it there.
We have a nation to build, and we have to be careful so that some of the actions we take don't add further problem, don't complicate the situations we have in this country.
Ambassador God knows Igali, Chairman PANDEF, thank you for coming out from your morning to be on Newsnight.
Thank you very much.